Chapter 427. Chapter 427 Phone robbery. You're right, I can't do it every day, Yushu said as she stuck her tongue out. Can't you stop doing stupid things like that? Meng Yao said helplessly. Alright. Yao Yao, what kind of tree do you think we should buy? Yushu asked timidly as she shrunk her head back. Something a little prettier, something a little more normal? Meng Yao didn't understand stuff like that. How about a fruit tree? Why did you bump into me? A young man bumped into Meng Yao, causing her to stumble and almost fall to the ground. The young man quickly apologized. I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose, I was in a hurry to move the goods. Oh, it's nothing. Meng Yao frowned, deciding not to argue with the guy since he said it wasn't intentional. Wait. The guy was about to leave when Lin Yi pulled him back. What are you doing? The guy's eyes flashed with wariness and Meng Yao looked at Lin Yi, not quite sure what was going on. She'd already let it go, so why was Lin Yi holding a grudge now? Take out your phone. Lin Yi said faintly. What phone? The guy was clearly panicking, but he started yelling all of a sudden. It's a robbery, someone's trying to steal my phone. Someone come quickly. The guy's yelling attracted the attention of the people around them, and they all came over to watch the commotion. What's going on? A couple of security guards walked over to the guy. He's trying to rob me and he asked for my phone. The guy said innocently. Yeah, I can prove it. This guy doesn't know what's right or wrong, he's asking for his phone. Someone in the crowd interrupted all of a sudden. Oh. If that's the case, follow me to the security room then. The leader of the security guard said as he looked at Lin Yi, his eyes lingering on Meng Yao and Yushu behind him, a perverted look in his eyes. Lin Yi, what's going on? Meng Yao was getting a little pissed off. They were here to buy saplings, what was Lin Yi doing? Stopping a stranger and asking for his phone? Your phone was stolen by him. Lin Yi shrugged and looked at Mississippi Ball. My phone? Meng Yao's face changed as she touched her pocket. The phone that was originally in his pocket had disappeared. You mean he stole my phone? Yes, why else would I stop him? Lin Yi nodded. Hey, don't fucking slander me. Who took your phone? The young man puffed out his chest and shouted confidently, if you say that I took your phone, then why don't you take a look? You turned off your phone long ago. Lin Yi glanced at him and said faintly. Lin Yi clearly saw through his little cleverness. Alright, that's enough. Follow me to the security room, and we'll be able to tell who's right and who's wrong when we get there. The captain evidently didn't want Lin Yi to say anything more as he pushed him away. Lin Yi's eyes narrowed as he guessed what was going on. This security captain was in cahoots with the thief. You two wait for me in the car. Never mind, stay with me. Lin Yi wanted to let Meng Yao and Yushu wait in the car first, but thinking of the perverted look in the security captain's eyes, Lin Yi didn't feel at ease. It was better to let them stay with him. Zhou Ruoming only returned to school when it was almost time for school to end. He asked a few of his lackeys and was relieved to hear that Lin Yi didn't look for him or ask about him. It seemed like Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with him anymore. At first, Zhou Ruoming thought that Lin Yi didn't kill him because he didn't want to fall out with him, but today he truly understood that Lin Yi didn't care about him at all. If he wanted to kill him, he would have done it a long time ago. Just like Uncle Yen today. So what if he was a golden class master? Didn't he still get stepped on by Lin Yi? As long as he understood this, Zhou Ruoming wasn't afraid anymore. As long as he didn't offend Lin Yi in the future, there shouldn't be a problem. Ming bro, are we going to join the tree planting tomorrow? It was Zhou Ruoming's #1 lackey Yun Lingxi. Of course. Zhou Ruoming was very proud when he heard about tree planting. Look at the forest behind the school. There were at least 3 or 4 trees planted by Zhou Ruoming. 1 tree a year. He'd been in high school for 3 or 4 years now. Everyone else only had 1 tree, but Zhou Ruoming had several. Who could compete with him? Every time he planted a tree, Zhou Ruoming would be especially proud. As they spoke, Zhou Ruoming's phone rang again. It was his father, Zhou Tiandi. Tiandi was getting more and more scared the more he thought about it. He'd discussed it with Zhou Ruoguang and comforted himself for a while, but the more he thought about it, the more he felt uneasy. And so he decided to ask his youngest son, Zhou Ruoming, about what happened back then. He wanted to know what Lin Yi meant. It was easy to invite a god in but hard to send him away. Offending a god like Lin Yi wasn't going to end well. Where are you right now? Tiandi asked. Dad, I'm at school. School just ended. What's up? Zhou Ruoming asked. Come to my company, I have something to ask you. I'll pick you up at school right now. Tiandi said. He didn't send a car to pick Zhou Ruoming up every day in order to make him study hard. He didn't think that this would give Zhou Ruoming even more freedom. No one would see him do bad things, and that made him even more reckless. I'm going to the flower bird fish market at home. Our school is starting to plant trees again tomorrow. I'll go look for a sapling. Zhou Ruoming said. Then wait for me at school. I'll be right there. Tiandi said. About 10 minutes later, Tiandi drove the BMW that Lin Yi had destroyed to the school. The appearance of the car annoyed Tiandi, but pissing off Lin Yi made him even more annoyed. Zhou Ruoming got in the car and Tiandi asked impatiently, You know Lin Yi? Of course I do. He slapped me a couple of times at school, he's my biggest enemy. Zhou Ruoming nodded. I had my eyes on his girl, but who knew he was that strong? Tiandi almost rolled his eyes at that. His whole family was Lin Yi's enemy, wasn't it? Tiandi felt the urge to cry. Dad, stop, please stop, look at the license plate. Zhou Ruoming quickly stopped his father from cursing, afraid that Lin Yi would hear him. What's wrong with the license plate? What's so nice about a license plate? Tiandi didn't think much of it as he walked into the market with his big belly. It's Lin Yi's car. Zhou Ruoming said. Lin Yi's here at the market? What? Tiandi jumped in fright upon hearing that it was Lin Yi's car. Thank goodness he hadn't asked the security guards to tow the car away, otherwise the consequences would have been unimaginable. Tiandi broke out in a cold sweat as he turned to leave. Ruoming, let's go, let's not stay here. Zhou Ruoming hesitated. He hadn't gotten his sapling yet, and it wasn't a coincidence that he'd run into Lin Yi, was it? Let's go to the office and come out after Lin Yi leaves. That works too. Tiandi nodded and walked into the market with Zhou Ruoming. The security guard at the entrance saw Tiandi and called out loudly. Mr. Zhou. Don't make a sound. Don't shout. Tiandi was about to explode. What was he shouting for? What if Lin Yi heard him? The security guard paused, not understanding what was going on. Could it be that Tiandi had brought some people with him to visit the market incognito? To check on the situation in the market? Thinking of this, the security guard felt that it was very possible, so he quickly nodded. I won't say any more. Tiandi and Zhou Ruoming slipped into the manager's office like ghosts. The manager of the market, Xie Fenpian, had just received a report from his security captain, saying that they'd caught a rich guy and two pretty girls. They'd investigated their backgrounds and all they did was drive an old van. They couldn't be powerful people. And so Fenpian prepared to go down and take advantage of them. Feeling a phone. So he'd just take off his clothes and search them. Fenpian was more than willing to do that. Of course he didn't dare do anything more than that, because he was afraid that something would go wrong. Searching a thief might be a bit overboard, but it wouldn't cause too much trouble. Fenpian was just getting excited when he raised his head to see Tiandi and Zhou Ruoming barging in. He jumped. Did they know what he'd done? But according to Fenpian's understanding, Zhou Tiandi wasn't a good person either. He was a troublemaker for the young girls in the company, and this was what they meant when they said that a crooked stick would have a crooked shadow. Tiandi's family, Zhou Ruoguang and Zhou Ruoming, as well as his underlings, weren't good people. Fenpian was only acting so recklessly because of Zhou Ruoguang's indulgence. He was originally a gangster in the North District, and because Zhou Ruoguang thought highly of him, he became the manager of the market. Fenpian wasn't afraid anymore when he remembered that Tiandi was the same type of person. Mr. Zhou, you're here. I have something good I wanted Guang Bro to tell you. What is it? Tiandi paused. He wasn't feeling too good and it'd make him feel better if he could rush it. The security department caught a couple of thieves and there were some pretty girls among them. Mr. Zhou, do you want to search them? Fenpian said lecherously. Did you get a background check? Tiandi paused and asked. This was his hobby after all. If there really was no problem, then he'd use the thieves to vent his anger. No background, they came in a broken van that looked like it came from a junkyard. There's no way they have any background. Fenpian said. Chapter 429. Becoming an idiot, it's just a couple of thieves, what's wrong? Fenpian paused, not understanding why Tiandi was acting like this. A couple of thieves? A man and a woman? Zhou Ruoming was surprised as well. A man and two women? Fenpian said. A man and two women? Zhou Ruoming paused and looked at Tiandi, both sighing in relief. A man and two women, that should be fine. If it's Lin Yi, he should be with Tang Yun, not a man and two women. That scared the hell out of me. Tiandi patted his chest. I've been scared to the point of going crazy. That's right, I've been so paranoid all day. Zhou Ruoming was suddenly interested in the pretty girls Fenpian was talking about, but he didn't dare say it out loud in front of his father. He could only look at Tiandi with a twinkle in his eyes. Come, let's go together. Tiandi naturally knew what kind of person his son was. He was as lecherous as he was, and so Tiandi decided to go together with his son. Haha, let's go check it out then. Zhou Ruoming was overjoyed, but he put on a fearful expression. Fenpian thought to himself that he'd lost a great opportunity to get close to Lin Yi, but that wasn't a big deal. He could use this opportunity to please the boss and the young master. Pretty girls weren't hard to find after all, and he could find a lot of them with money. Wouldn't his money be rolling in if he treated the father and son well? Lin Yi followed the security captain to the security room because he didn't want to make a move in the market. There were too many people there and Lin Yi wouldn't be able to use his powers. These guys had no choice but to resign themselves to fate in the security room. Bang! The security captain locked the door as soon as they entered the security room, pointing at Lin Yi like a brute. You guys, tell me, how did you steal this? Otherwise I'll send you to the police station. It won't be as simple as it is now. Ha, you're with him. Lin Yi didn't think much of the barbarian's attitude as he looked at the captain. What are you talking about? He's the victim, of course we have to uphold justice for him. The captain's face changed, but he still tried to argue. Ha, uphold justice? You think you're Ultraman or the leader of Wulin? Lin Yi smiled. Just tell me, what do you want? Mengyao and Yushu by now understood that the security captain was in cahoots with the thief. But with Lin Yi there, they weren't afraid of anything. Mengyao and Yushu had been through life and death situations with Lin Yi before after all. This bit of danger was nothing compared to bank robbers and sharks. The two were even a little excited. They wanted to see it. Lin. Don't even think about getting out after entering this door. Since you're not being honest, we'll beat you up first. The captain waved his hand at the other guards. Bring the girls into the room. Chairman Xie will search them later. This kid is not being honest, so beat him up first. Yes. Several security guards rubbed their fists and nodded in agreement. Isn't it against the law to beat people up here? Lin Yi looked at the captain. In here I'm the law. The captain pointed at Lin Yi arrogantly. I'm not afraid to tell you that there are no cameras here. If you go out, no one will be able to prove that you were beaten up by us. We can just say that you fell down yourself. Ah, I see. That's what I was thinking. Lin Yi nodded with a smile. What do you mean? Are you stupid? The captain blinked, not understanding what Lin Yi meant. I'm not stupid, but you're about to be. Lin Yi said as he patted the captain's head. What the hell are you talking about? The captain's eyes went blank all of a sudden as saliva dripped down from the corner of his mouth. He started laughing hysterically as he tried to catch the thief. 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 Shield bro, is he really stupid? Yushu cried out excitedly at the sight of the security captain turning into an idiot. This is fun, this is so fun. Shield bro, turn this guy into an idiot too. With that, Yushu pointed at the thief. Don't. The thief had seen Lin Yi's magic before and he was scared out of his wits. He had never seen someone turn a person into an idiot with just 2 pats. He was a monster from the legends. This kid knows sorcery. Catch him. The other guards were scared as well. Who had ever seen someone turn a person into an idiot with just a few moves? But while there were people shouting for Lin Yi, no one dared to step forward. They were all afraid of becoming Lin Yi's next target. Not only did no one step forward, but they were also backing away. Plop. The thief dropped to his knees when he saw Lin Yi walking over. Bro, master, ancestor, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have stolen the phone. I'll return it to you now. With that, the thief took out Mingyao's phone and placed it on the ground, crying with snot and tears all over his face. I'm just a small fry up front. Guang bro told us to cooperate and steal things, to cheat the customers. Lin Yi picked up the phone and handed it back to Mengyao before the tears and snot dripped down. He then looked at the thief. Guang bro? What Guang bro? What does Guang bro do? Brother Guang is Zhou Ruoguang, the boss of the North District. This flower, bird and fish market is also owned by his family. The thief said whatever was on his mind. He was afraid of becoming an idiot, so he naturally did not dare to hide anything. Oh. Zhou Ruoguang? Lin Yi blinked, not expecting it to be Zhou Ruoguang again. Now he was at loggerheads with his family. Call him, tell him to come here in 10 minutes or I'll tear this place down. Alright, I'll make the call now. The thief was a little afraid of Zhou Ruoguang, but he was more afraid of Lin Yi right now. Zhou Ruoguang could only beat him half to death, but Lin Yi could make him wish he was dead. But just as Lin Yi was talking to the thief, a security guard standing not too far away suddenly went berserk. He held a sharp knife in his hand as he approached Meng Yao. He wanted to use Meng Yao as a hostage to force Lin Yi to leave. He didn't feel safe with Lin Yi standing there. Since Lin Yi had already turned one person into an idiot, a few more wouldn't make a difference. Chapter 430. Turn into a few more. Man, I didn't want to create too much food wasting trash, but you could have just stood there and waited for Zhou Ruoguang to come and everything would have been fine. Why bother? Lin Yi looked at the guard sympathetically. Oh, a new idiot is born. Yushu waved her fist. Shield bro, turn into a few more? Two's too few. The other guards and thieves sweated as they listened. Why was this girl so cruel? Did she like seeing people turn into idiots? Gotcha. The door opened with a creak and Xie Fenpian's eyes lit up when he saw Meng Yao and Yushu in the room. Such a beautiful girl, it's really a waste. If only Zhou Tiandi hadn't come today. Catch the thief. The security captain grabbed at Fenpian like a maniac, drooling from the inside. What are you doing? Fenpian jumped. Have you never seen a woman before? Even if these two girls are pretty, you don't have to be this infatuated, do you? You're drooling, don't you think that's disgusting? Mr. Zhou's here. Say properly. Fenpian was pissed off. The security captain wasn't usually like this. What was wrong with him today? He had to make a fool out of himself in front of Tiandi, wasn't he? Mr. Zhou? Zhou Ruoguang's here? Lin Yi looked at Fenpian. Fenpian evidently hadn't figured out what was going on in the room yet, not knowing that Lin Yi had the upper hand. You know Guang bro? That's no use, it's Guang bro's father who came today. If you know what's good for you, you'd better shut up or else. Slap. Fenpian didn't even get to finish before Lin Yi slapped him in the face. His ears started to bleed and he fell to the ground unconscious. Lin Yi was losing his patience. These Zhous didn't know what death was like, did they? Why were there so many idiots being sent to him one after another? Zhou Tiandi and Zhou Ruoming were dumbfounded when they heard the slaps and screams, especially when they heard Lin Yi's voice. The two of them stood at the door of the security room, not knowing whether to go in or not. They didn't know what to do. But even if they didn't come in, Lin Yi could still see them. He smiled coldly. Zhou Tiandi, Zhou Ruoming, come in. Tiandi and Zhou Ruoming looked at each other and forced themselves to walk into the security room. They wanted to kill the security captain right now. Of all the people he shouldn't mess with, why did he have to mess with Lin Yi? But wasn't Lin Yi with Tang Yun? Zhou Ruoming, however, saw Meng Yao and Yushu. I say, Zhou Tiandi, haven't you had enough of going against me? Lin Yi knew that today's incident had nothing to do with Tiandi, but if Tiandi still wanted to use these small security guards after losing a golden class master, then he'd have to be an idiot. So it could only be said that it was a coincidence. Still, Lin Yi was quite annoyed. Why did Tiandi's family always have to make things difficult for him? No. Boss Lin, you've misunderstood. Tiandi's face paled. Boss Lin, that wasn't what I meant, I didn't know. Right, it was that Xie Fenpian, he was the one who said he caught a couple of thieves for me to take a look at, right, Ruoming? Lin Yi nodded. Yes. Zhou Ruoming was scared out of his wits as he nodded. We didn't come to flirt with pretty girls. Tiandi almost exploded at his son's words. Wasn't this just showing that he wasn't hiding something? He really wanted to send him flying with a kick. You idiot, what are you talking about? We're here to handle a theft case and we're here to make sure it's fair and just. Yes. Boss Lin, this really has nothing to do with us. Ruoming quickly corrected himself. Boss Lin, this really has nothing to do with us. Alright, I don't have time to waste with you guys. Load the 3 saplings and you two can leave. But don't mess with me next time or I'll burn your house down. Lin Yi waved his hand impatiently. That's it for today. If you want to tell others, then do what you want. Zhou Ruoming paused. How could he just tell others? Wouldn't he be crazy if he told others about something like this? But he understood what Lin Yi was getting at. He was probably talking about seeing him with Meng Yao and Yushu. But what did Lin Yi have to do with Meng Yao and Yushu? They didn't say anything about that at school, did they? As confused as he was, Zhou Ruoming didn't dare ask. He and his father quickly went out to get the saplings after Linny asked for them. Give me 3 saplings. Tiandi found a shop that sold saplings and asked the owner. How much? The shop owner saw that it was a big shot from the market asking for saplings. Why would he take money? He quickly brought the saplings over with a smile. Why do you need money? It's not that much. Just bring it over if you want to use it. I'll give you the money. Here's 100 kwai, is that enough? Tiandi took out 100 kwai from his wallet and handed it to the owner. I don't need that much, the saplings are cheap, just a few kwai each. The owner quickly waved his hand. Tiandi didn't have the time to waste with him. He threw the money down and grabbed the saplings before walking out. I'll get a worker to carry it for you? The owner asked kindly, seeing that Tiandi was doing it himself. It's fine. Tiandi refused decisively. He had to carry the saplings himself to show his sincerity. What if he got a worker and Linny picked on him again? Plus, the saplings weren't heavy at all. He put the saplings in the car and carefully stood beside it, smiling. Boss Linny, is there anything else you need? Nope. Right, I turned 2 of your security guards into idiots, is that okay? Linny looked at Tiandi. They won't ask me for medical fees, will they? No, they won't, don't worry. Tiandi jumped. Turning people into idiots? What kind of technique was that? No wonder that security captain was acting so strangely. He thought he was a love-struck fool, but it turned out that he was an idiot. They fell and became idiots themselves. We'll compensate them according to the standard for work-related injuries. Chapter 431. Chapter 431. Breakthrough. Miao wasn't in the mood for Zhou Ruoming's family, and she'd been silent since she got in the car. Yushu, on the other hand, didn't seem to be affected. Shield bro, why willow trees? Isn't it better if we plant fruit trees? We can eat the fruits when they're ripe. Shu. Didn't he say that he wouldn't ask such a stupid question? We'll be graduating by next year by then. Meng Yao reminded. Then why willow trees? Yushu nodded. That I don't know. Anyway. Meng Yao asked. Haven't you guys heard of this saying? It's called planting a flower with the intention doesn't bloom, but planting a willow without the intention grows a shade. Linny smiled. Willow trees are easier to grow, and it doesn't take much effort to take care of them. Yushu nodded. Dr. Kang's villa. Grandpa, according to the lab's analysis, there are different types of dog poop. Different breeds of dog poop make different poop, so I suspect that not every type of dog poop can be used as a pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Xiaolong said. That's a big discovery. Dr. Kong said, taking Xiaolong's words very seriously. No wonder the effects of dog poop haven't been discovered yet. Different dogs make different poop. Good job, Xiaolong. Have you figured out what kind of dog shit this is? We compared and sampled thousands of dog poop samples and consulted many dog experts. We came to the conclusion that this poop is most likely from a German Shepherd. Xiaolong said. No wonder. I heard that this dog's value is second only to the Tibetan Mastiff. It's very rare and expensive. Miracle. Dr. Kong nodded. Alright, hurry up and get me one of these dogs. Let them poop and compare it, then report the results to me. Alright, Grandpa. I've already sent someone to buy one, so we should have news soon. Xiaolong said. By the way, when are you going to the Xiao family in Yanjing to propose marriage? Dr. Kong asked. Xiaolong's heart skipped a beat. That girl was quite pretty and it wouldn't be hard to marry her. Even if the Xiao family wasn't that powerful right now, she could still be a stepping stone for House Kong. When House Kong grew stronger, he'd replace her and find a bigger family. But that was what he'd thought in the past. Xiaolong, who was about to figure out the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, was full of confidence. He didn't really think much of Xinyan. Grandpa, I think the most important thing right now is to figure out what kind of dog poop the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing is made from. That's the most important thing for our family right now. As for the marriage, I think we can postpone it for a while. If we really manage to figure out the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, our House Kang's position will skyrocket, and we might not have to marry into the Xiao family anymore. Xiaolong said. You're right, I didn't think it through before. Dr. Kong nodded in agreement after hearing Xiaolong's analysis. I've always thought of our family as a weak family, but if we have the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, things will be different. Golden creation is just a medicine for injuries. It can heal wounds, but it's only popular among women. It's a luxury item for the upper class. But the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing is different. It can save lives. Yeah, once we succeed, we won't be a small family anymore. All the other families will be begging us, Dr. Kong said. But if we can figure out the recipe, others can too, right? Don't worry, Grandpa. We won't be as stupid as Kong Xiaobo, taking dog poop out directly. We'll add some fragrance or something to make the pill fragrant. It won't be easy for people to analyze it then, Zhao Long said. But there's a risk too. Our main ingredient is dog poop. No matter how hard we try to cover it up, the dog poop will still be found out, won't it? Dr. Kong hesitated. That's true. Zhao Long nodded. It looks like I'll have to figure out how to keep the recipe a secret. Grandpa, I have an idea. Kong Mingming, who hadn't had the chance to speak up until now, stood up. He didn't want Zhao Long to take the lead. We'll reduce the proportion of dog poop in each pill, making it as rare as possible. We'll use the rest of the useless ingredients, so we'll just need to take a few more pills. It had to be said that Kong Mingming's plan was worth 3. Dr. Kong and Zhao Long listened to Kong Mingming's plan and were enlightened. Dr. Kong said, Illumination's method is feasible. Not bad, you two brothers, one intellectual and one martial. House Kong will be able to flourish in the future. Zhao Long wasn't happy that Kong Mingming took half of the credit, but he had to admit that Kong Mingming's method was very good. Diluting the dog poop and making it look like a supplementary ingredient that people could ignore. Hee hee. Kong Mingming smiled. Grandpa, Big Brother doesn't like that girl. Why don't you give her to me? Kong Xiaoming didn't have any great ambitions in his heart. Sneaking around was fine, but he didn't want to be in control of the corporation. As long as he got the shares in his hands, being a playboy wasn't a bad idea. So when he saw that Zhao Long wasn't interested in Wang Xinyan, he wanted to take her for himself. You brat, what are you thinking? She's your sister-in-law. Dr. Kong glared at his grandson helplessly. Hee hee, I was just saying. Kong Mingming felt that it wasn't appropriate and quickly changed his words. Fatty Lai finally got Lin Yi's number from Xuemin with tears and snot on his face. He'd asked for Lu Tiany's number before, but Lu Tiany wouldn't give him Lin Yi's number no matter what. In the end, Fatty Lai panicked and wanted to be irreconcilable enemies. Lu Tiany had no choice but to give him some advice. Brother Lai, it's not that I'm trying to make things difficult for you, but I really don't dare to. I'm begging Miracle Dr. Lin, how could I just give his information to someone else? How about this? Professor Guan and Miracle Dr. Lin are very close. Go beg him, he'll definitely have a way. I begged him back then. And so, Fatty Lai ran to Xuemin's house as if he'd received an imperial edict. Xuemin didn't tell him, so he knelt in front of Xuemin's house and started crying. Guan Xin came home from her night shift and was shocked to see a fatty crying in front of her house. Who are you? What do you want? You are? Are you Guan Xuemin's family? Fatty Lai raised his head and asked as soon as he heard someone talking to him. Chapter 432. Little Bodyguard? You're Professor Guan's granddaughter? That's great. Do you know Miracle Dr. Lin Yi's number? I'm looking for him. Fatty Lai started sobbing again. My dad has uremia and he's dying. Miracle Dr. Lin can cure him, but Professor Guan won't tell us his number. Lin Yi was stunned. You're looking for Lin Yi? Guan Xin paused and looked at the pitiful Fatty Lai. Why don't I tell you? If he blames you, just tell him I gave it to him. Guan Xin was a kind-hearted person. She couldn't bear to see the fatty crying in front of her door, so she gave him Lin Yi's number. Thank you. Miss Guan, you're such a kind-hearted person. You must be Miracle Dr. Lin's girlfriend, right? Fatty Lai may be a crybaby, but he was a veteran in the business world. His ability to read people's expressions was extraordinary. He saw Guan Xian's blush when she mentioned Lin Yi, and he knew that her relationship with Lin Yi wasn't simple. No wonder Xuemin and Lin Yi were so close. It was because of this. Fatty Lai had been wondering why Lin Yi started a medicine company with Xuemin. Did he trust Xuemin that much? Lin Yi's medical skills were much better than Xuemin's, so there was this layer of relationship between them. But we're just good friends. Guan Xin was embarrassed by Fatty Lai's words, stuttering as she blushed. But she was happy inside. The fatty may be a crybaby, but his words were nice. Giving him her number wasn't a waste. Ah, then I won't bother Miss Guan anymore. I'll go make the call. Fatty Lai wanted to get closer to Lin Yi as soon as possible. Guan Xen was already embarrassed, but Fatty Lai's words made her breathe a sigh of relief as she ran into the villa. Lin Yi remembered that Tang Yun was supposed to participate in the tree planting tomorrow. He wondered if she had any saplings. He took out his phone and was about to make a call when it rang. He thought it was Tang Yun, but it was an unfamiliar number. Hello. Lin Yi answered the phone. Is that Miracle Dr. Lin? Fatty Lai asked in surprise. Miracle Dr. Lin? Who are you? Lin Yi was slightly startled. A few days ago he was looking for Thief Lin and today he was looking for Miracle Dr. Lin. Miracle Dr. Lin, it really is you. I'm Lai Changyi. Fatty Lai quickly introduced himself. Lai Changyi? I don't know him. Lin Yi was about to hang up the phone. Sob. Miracle Dr. Lin, don't you recognize me? Well, Fatty Lai started crying again. I remember. As soon as Lin Yi heard the crying, he connected the dots. You are the crying Fatty, right? Yes, it's me, Miracle Dr. Lin. You remember now? Fatty Lai was pleasantly surprised. I remember now. What's the matter? Lin Yi asked. It's like this. That pill of life extension and toxin cleansing is very effective. I'm here to pay for your medical fees. Should I transfer the money to you? Fatty Lai asked. Oh, that. No need. I told you it's for you. Lin Yi refused after hearing Fatty Lai's intentions. 100 million wasn't a small amount and Lin Yi needed money, but that pill was covered in dog poop and Kong Ming Ming had thrown it away. Lin Yi couldn't just accept the money. How can I do that? You have to take the money or my conscience will be hurt. Sob. Fatty Lai started crying again. Lin Yi was speechless. Isn't it good to save money for you? How about this? Miracle Dr. Lin, don't you want to open a medical company? How about I give you an office building? I'm building a new building and I'm planning to move my company there, but I don't need a lot of space. A few floors are enough. I wanted to rent out the rest, but I'll give it to you. What do you think? Fatty Lai asked. If you really want to give it to me, then give it to me. Lin Yi didn't reject the offer. It saved him the trouble of looking for another place. Write your name on the deed? Fatty Lai was overjoyed that Lin Yi didn't reject him anymore. Write Grandpa Guan. Lin Yi wanted to say Guan Xuemin's name, but Xuemin probably wouldn't agree. Write it under Guan Xian's name. Okay, I'll remember it. Fatty Lai nodded quickly. Lin Yi and Guan Xian really had a close relationship. Seemed like his guess was right. Is there anything else? Lin Yi was in a hurry to call Tang Yun. He wasn't in the mood to waste time with Fatty Lai. Yes. That pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Can you sell me another one? Fatty Lai stated his intentions. Oh, your old man won't die for a while. Lin Yi said. When the medical company opens in a few days, I'll take some out for auction. You can buy it then. Really? As long as it's for sale. Fatty Lai didn't lack money. He didn't care if it was an auction or not. Sob, I'm so happy. Lin Yi hung up and let out a sigh of relief. This guy was too much of a drag. He couldn't take it anymore. He shook his head and dialed Tang Yun's number. Oh, Lin Yi, what's up? Tang Yun had just returned home from the hospital when she received Lin Yi's call. We're planting trees at school tomorrow. Do you have a tree? Lin Yi asked. Yeah, do you want one? I have a lot in my yard. Tang Yun said. Just a couple of saplings will do. Lin Yi slapped his forehead, remembering that Tang Yun lived in a house in the slums. There was a yard in front of their house and there were a lot of wild saplings. No, I was thinking that if you don't have any, I can buy some for you. No need. Tang Yun was very happy. Her heart was filled with sweetness at Lin Yi's concern. So, the feeling of being in love was a wonderful thing. She had always rejected it, but now that she really liked someone, she couldn't stop it. Alright, see you tomorrow. They chatted for a while until Mrs. Tang called Tang Yun for dinner. Lin Yi hung up. In the floating cloud bar, Zhang Wen's face was dark as he sat beside Sihua. Chapter 433. Chapter 433. Zhang Wen's visit. Little bodyguard? Sihua smiled coldly. Golden class early phase. Is that so strong? Golden class early phase isn't strong? Normal people like us can never reach that height in our lifetimes. Not to mention golden class early phase, even body refinement and chi refining late phase can't reach it. Jiang Wen evidently knew a lot about ancient martial arts, and knew that there were two ways to reach golden class: qi refining and body refinement. Ah, that's true, but Lin Yi isn't a normal person. Sihua said faintly. Why would I keep him around if he was? Now that he had established a working relationship with Jiang Wen, the two sides were having a good time working together, and Sihua had gotten a huge amount of money from it. He didn't think that selling human organs would be this profitable. No wonder Housen, who wasn't that famous before, had become a new noble house all of a sudden. Sihua didn't want to have anything to do with Jiang Wen right now, and so he told the truth about Lin Yi. Not a normal person? What do you mean? Jiang Wen paused. Isn't he Ming Yao's bodyguard? Do you think anyone can be a bodyguard? Peng Zhan wouldn't have hired him to be Ming Yao's side if he wasn't capable at all. Sihua shook his head. Peng Zhan is a person like that. Even the shareholders of his company have masters protecting them, and that Faubert beside him must be at least golden class. Why would he put a piece of trash beside his beloved daughter? Sihua's analysis might sound convincing, but he'd underestimated Lin Yi before this. Many people were like that. They wouldn't be able to see the reality in front of them if they didn't experience it themselves. Jiang Wen's face changed. Lin Yi is a golden class as well? I'm a golden class early phase and a golden class late phase, and he killed them. Sihua roared. Do I hate him? Do I want him to die? Of course I hate him, of course I do. But I have no choice, I don't have the strength to fight him. What? What did you say? Sihua bro, are you saying that an early phase and a late phase golden class were killed by Lin Yi? Jiang Wen's eyes went wide as he stared at Sihua in horror. He felt as if his scalp was about to explode, a chill running down his spine. I'm not sure if he killed her, but it looks like a car accident. Sihua sighed, calming himself down. But I don't believe that two golden class masters would die in a car accident. Plus, I sent that early phase golden class master to test Lin Yi, and he didn't get any advantage. Jiang Wen was completely dumbfounded. He thought that Lin Yi was just a small fry who knew some kung fu, but it seemed like that wasn't the case at all. Not only was Lin Yi powerful, but he was also extremely powerful. So if he's not a threat to you, just let him go for now. It's good for both of us. Sihua smiled bitterly. Sihua bro, have dominated Songshan for 5 years, and I can't do anything to a brat who just came here. Don't you think that's unfair? But I can tolerate this. Jiang Wen knew that Sihua wouldn't lie to him, and there was no reason for him to do so, especially since they were working together now. Sihua wouldn't want anything to happen to him and affect the cooperation. He's not a threat. Jiang Wen shook his head. He's just Ming Yao's bodyguard, not her boyfriend. According to my investigation, he has a girlfriend called Tang Yun, one of the school beauties of Songshan's first school. She's as pretty as Meng Yao, so there shouldn't be anything going on between them. It's just that I can't tolerate this. So what if you can't tolerate it? Humans need to tolerate it and you'll get used to it. Sihua said with a wave of his hand. I wanted to do it with Tang Yun, but it seems like that's not a good idea anymore. Jiang Wen said. Please don't. If you touch his woman, he'll never forgive you. Even if he's a late phase golden class, you won't be able to rest for the rest of your life. Sihua said quickly. Unless you have a master of a higher level by your side to protect you. Yes. You're right, I should change the way I treat Lin Yi. Since we can't be enemies, we should be friends. With him by Ming Yao's side, he'll be like a spy, and I'll be able to keep track of Ming Yao's movements. Jiang Wen thought it through quickly. That's the right way to think. Sihua raised his glass. Come, let's toast to our cooperation. Cheers. Jiang Wen was no longer depressed now that he'd found a temporary solution. Sihua bro, the number of people you've been capturing has clearly decreased a lot, not as much as the first 2 days. The fire wolves aren't able to keep up with the demand. Masterin, you know that there's only so many beggars and vagrants in Songshan. We've caught most of them already, and the ones who got the news have run away. It's not easy for us to catch them. Sihua said. What about the disabled? There should be a lot of them, right? They're a weak group and no one would care even if we captured them, right? Jiang Wen had never seen so much money before. The amount of money in his bank account skyrocketed, driving him crazy. It's not that easy to capture the disabled. Some of them are very rich and they have powerful relatives at home. We can't just touch them like that, and we can only wait in the slums and the suburbs, capturing them the moment we see them. Sihua said. Don't worry, I know some underground bosses in other cities in the province. We can work with them. Alright, I'll leave this to you, Tsihua bro. Jiang Wen nodded. He knew that he'd be able to make more money if he went to the other cities to work with the underground bosses. But Jiang Wen wasn't familiar with the place and the people. House An's roots were in Songshan, and he'd be in trouble if he were to cross the border. Might as well let Tsihua handle this. Yeah, don't worry, it's not a problem, Tsihua said with a wave of his hand. What surprised Lin Yi was the fact that Jiang Wen still had the face to come visit him again. Lin Yi thought that he'd heard wrong when Yushu called out to him from the door. Shield bro, Jiang Wen's here again. He's here to ask you out for dinner. Yushu called out from Lin Yi's room. Chapter 434. Chapter 434. Too little Mengyao on the other hand sat on the side, her face cold as she chatted with Jiang Wen. Lin Yi, he's here for you. Come talk to him. Mengyao breathed out in relief when she saw Lin Yi. She got up and walked upstairs. Jiang Wen smiled bitterly. He was here for Lin Yi, but he also wanted to get closer to Mengyao. It was like he was here for Lin Yi and Mengyao wasn't welcoming him at all. Jiang Wen didn't know what he'd done wrong. His relationship with Mengyao was getting worse and worse. Bro Lin, come sit. Jiang Wen greeted Lin Yi warmly. It's been a few days, I've really missed you. Lin Yi felt a chill run down his spine. Could it be that Jiang Wen's sexual orientation changed because of the medicine? He walked over and sat on the sofa 1 meter away from Jiang Wen. Master, and what's up? Did that doll feel good? Jiang Wen's face changed. He didn't think that Lin Yi was ready to go all out with him today. But Jiang Wen wasn't planning on going all out with Lin Yi today. He was here to show his friendliness to Lin Yi. And so Jiang Wen suppressed his anger. How low bro Lin Yi, you're joking. I was just joking last time. That blow-up doll wasn't too bad, no different from a real person. Bro Lin, do you want to try? I'll pass. You play with it yourself. Lin Yi shook his head, wondering what kind of tricks the kid was up to this time. Lin Yi didn't believe that Jiang Wen didn't care about what happened before at all. There was no way he'd be that magnanimous. There had to be something going on. The kid had to have something up his sleeves. Lin Yi raised his guard. That's fine. Bro Lin has a pretty girlfriend. You don't need these things, haha. I heard she's the school beauty? As famous as Yao Yao sis? Jiang Wen smiled. What do you want to do? Lin Yi's face darkened and his attitude became cold. This guy wanted to make a move on Tang Yun? Lin Yi wouldn't let him off so easily if he wanted to do anything to Tang Yun. I'm a poor person. Although I don't like to give things to others, I don't mind giving you a coffin. Jiang Wen was a little pissed off at Lin Yi's threat, but when he thought about the 2 golden class masters that had died under Tsihua's hands, he calmed down. Compared to those 2 golden class masters, he was nothing. Threatening Lin Yi like that was asking for death. Brother Lin, you've misunderstood. I'm just congratulating Brother Lin for bringing home the beauty. I don't mean anything else. Jiang Wen quickly explained, feeling lucky that he went to Tsihua first and didn't do anything to Tang Yun. Otherwise he'd be dead by now. Lin Yi nodded faintly and waited for Jiang Wen to continue. He didn't know what he meant. It's like this. You've brought home the beauty, but I'm still alone. Jiang Wen said. You're always by Yao Yao sis's side. You can always get news about her, right? And? Lin Yi asked. I feel that Yao Yao sis is a lot colder to me. Does she have a boyfriend or someone she likes? Do you know? Jiang Wen asked. How would I know? Lin Yi shook his head. Why would I research that stuff? That's true. Lin Yi bro, you have a girlfriend. You don't have to worry about that anymore. But I don't. I've been chasing after Mengyao for so many years. You don't know how a hungry man feels. Jiang Wen's voice was very serious. I've wronged you before because I thought you were Mingyao's boyfriend, but now that I've done my research, we don't have anything against each other at all. We can totally be friends. Oh, I would have been in trouble if I hadn't been alert. Lin Yi didn't pity him at all. What did it have to do with him whether Jiang Wen got Mengyao or not? Lin Yi couldn't let someone as dangerous as Jiang Wen get close to Mengyao. Jiang Wen was a little embarrassed. We got to know each other after a fight. Plus, you didn't lose anything, Brother Lin. Oh, then what do you want me to do? Lin Yi wasn't in the mood to argue with him. He wanted to know what Jiang Wen's real intentions were. Lil bro Lin, you see Mengyao all the time both at school and at home. Can you help me keep an eye out for guys who get really close to her or if there's any news? Can you let me know right away? Jiang Wen said. You want me to be a spy? Lin Yi understood what Jiang Wen was getting at. Yeah, that's about it. Jiang Wen nodded. That's not an easy job. You know that I'm employed by Mr. Pingzhan. How can I be a spy for someone else? Lin Yi looked at Jiang Wen. Of course I won't let you do it for free. There'll be benefits. Jiang Wen saw that Lin Yi wasn't giving him a definite answer. There should be some room for negotiation. I'll pay you. Oh, that's fine. 500,000 a month. That'll be enough to help you. Lin Yi said directly. 500,000. Jiang Wen paused. He was thinking of giving Lin Yi 100,000 at most. He didn't expect Lin Yi to ask for 500,000 a month. Forget it if you think it's too much. I don't really want to do it. It's very dangerous. It's not worth it to lose my job for such a small amount of money. Lin Yi said faintly. 500,000 was a small amount? Jiang Wen felt a little dizzy. But when he thought about how Lin Yi might be a late-phase golden class, he didn't think it was strange anymore. Hiring a late-phase golden class as a bodyguard wouldn't be cheap. The early-phase golden class with his brother cost 5 million a year, not to mention that Lin Yi was a late-phase golden class. Thinking about it that way, Jiang Wen felt a lot better. 500,000 was only the price of selling a kidney. It wasn't a lot anymore. All right, 500,000. I'll leave everything to you, Brother Lin. Jiang Wen said. Give me your bank account number. I'll transfer it to you directly. Lin Yi told Jiang Wen his bank account number and sent him away. Yushu popped her head out of the washroom. Shield bro, why did you only ask for 500,000? It's too little. Chapter 435. Chapter 435. Meticulous thoughts. You're right, you have to treat us then or I'll tell Yao Yao about this. Yushu said as she rolled her eyes. I can treat you, but what do you want me to treat you? Lin Yi asked. I want to eat shark meat. When are you going to take me to catch sharks again? Yushu couldn't forget about shark meat. Maybe when the time comes. Lin Yi sweated. Shark meat wasn't tasty at all. Why was Chin Yi so addicted to it? The next day the entire graduating class was suspended for a day, and the tree planting activity began. This was a group activity second only to the spring outing and art festival. After entering the 12th grade, the extracurricular activities had decreased a lot, so most students were looking forward to this activity. Lin Yi naturally couldn't be too close to Meng Yao and Yushu in school. Lin Yi gave them the willow seedlings and told them a few things to pay attention to before going to find Tang Yun. Tang Yun brought an elm seedling which was one of the easiest to grow, similar to Lin Yi's willow. Tang Yun was very happy to see Lin Yi walking over, but hesitated. She had accepted Lin Yi from the bottom of her heart, but walking with Lin Yi in front of so many students was still a little embarrassing. Let's go there, there's less people there. Tang Yun pointed at an empty space not far away. Lin Yi nodded and went to hold Tang Yun's hand. Tang Yun jumped in fright and tried to run away like a rabbit. She dodged to the side, but she was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't be happy, so she dodged back and looked around. Only after making sure that no one was looking did she give her hand to Lin Yi. Huh. Lin Yi couldn't help but find it funny looking at Tang Yun's timid face, but he had the urge to protect her even more. She was a cute girl. I'll carry it for you. Lin Yi saw the shovel and seedlings in Tang Yun's hands and grabbed them. It wasn't much for him, but it was a bit heavy for Tang Yun. They found a place with fewer people and Lin Yi placed the seedlings on the ground, preparing to dig a hole. This seems to be Zhou Ruoming's turf. He used to plant trees around here and wouldn't let anyone plant here. Tang Yun looked around and said to Lin Yi. I was wondering why there were so few people here. Let's do it here then. Lin Yi heard that it was Zhou Ruoming's turf. Tang Yun heard Lin Yi's words and couldn't help but laugh. She covered her mouth and laughed. She couldn't hide from Zhou Ruoming before. She didn't dare get close to him. But now he was planting trees in his turf. Ming bro, isn't that your turf? Why did someone take it over? Yun Lingxi carried the seedlings and looked up to see that their turf had been taken over. How dare someone plant trees in my turf? I'll dig up their trees and throw them away. Ruoming was infuriated by Yun Lingxi's words as well. He was about to run over when he suddenly stopped in his tracks. What? It's Lin Yi. The only thing Tang Yun was confident about was her beautiful appearance. But what was the use of that? Wasn't Guan Xian pretty? Her grandfather was Miracle Dr. Guan. He helped Lin Yi's career a lot. Lin Yi and Guan Exen were a good match. Tang Yun sighed and shook her head. She forced herself not to think about it. Lin Yi wouldn't leave her, would he? Chapter 436. The lonely Xiao was watching Lin Yi and Tang Yun coldly from afar, her face cold. Who knew what she was thinking? Lil sis Xiao, when are you going to blow up Lin Yi? Pin Liang asked, rubbing his palms together. Your fireworks aren't even ready yet, how am I supposed to blow him up? Xiao glared at him. Is your plan going to work or not? Don't let Lin Yi find out. He probably won't. Plus, we'll light up the firecrackers after we're sure it's on him and blow his ass up. We'll embarrass him to death. Pin Liang imagined Lin Yi's ass turning red from the explosion, making a fool of himself in front of the whole school. This was his dream. Alright, but when will your firestones arrive? Xiao asked, looking at the dumbfounded Pin Liang. Soon, I've called a couple of times already. Pin Liang said. They're flying it over right now, it's called the Eskimo tree. Xiao looked at Pin Liang oddly. Only a crazy person like him would fly a tree over. You play then, I'll be going back. Xiao turned and walked back to the school building. One had to admit Xiao was the weakest of the big four, and yet she could order the second and third of the big four around. How cool was that? Xiao on the other hand was lonely. She didn't have a single true friend. She looked at the stupid Yushu next to Mengyao and the Kong Xiaobo next to Lin Yi. Xiao was a little envious. They all had friends but she didn't. Friends? I don't need them. Xiao said in her heart. I don't need friends and I don't need friendship. I'll just be happy by myself and I don't need to be separated by death. Liang bro, why do I feel like Xiao's in a bad mood? Xiaofu asked curiously as he looked at Xiao's lonely figure. She was peed all over by Lin Yi. If it were you, would you be in a good mood? Pin Liang curled his lips disapprovingly. Let's focus on the Firestone plan. Do you really think Mingyao's going to like it? Think so. Xiaofu thought about it. Liang bro, why don't you write some love notes for Mengyao, fold them into the shape of a heart and put them on the tree? I'm sure Mengyao will be very happy when she sees it. That makes sense. Then find some paper and help me write. Pin Liang thought it was a good idea and nodded. He didn't have anything to do anyway, so he might as well write some notes. I'm afraid the two of us won't be enough. We need to find some help. Gao Xiaofu said, but as long as we give them some money, there should be a lot of people who will help. Alright, I'll leave it to you then. Pin Liang took out 1,000 kuai and gave it to Xiaofu. You take care of this first, I'll go build some momentum. With that, Pin Liang went to find Mengyao. He needed to tell her about the news beforehand so she could come out to see him confess his love. Shu, why aren't you digging anymore? Mengyao asked curiously as she looked at Yushu, who was rubbing her hands on the ground. Oh, I'm tired. Yushu had tossed the shovel to the side. She'd thought that planting trees was new and interesting, but after digging for a while she felt tired and decided to give up. She'd wait for Mengyao to finish digging and plant the 2 trees in the same hole. Yao, let's plant the 2 trees together later, what do you think? It's not much, but you sure know how to slack off. Stand up and dig with me. Mengyao rolled her eyes angrily. Yushu was treating her like a coolie. But Yao, I'm tired. You're the big sister, you're older than me, you have to let me. Yushu didn't want to get up. This Lin Yi, he's not helping, he only knows how to hit on girls. Mengyao couldn't do anything to Yushu, so all she could do was grit her teeth and dig with the shovel. She was sweating profusely as she cursed Lin Yi. This bastard, I'm going to cut his salary. Doesn't he have the awareness of a follower? Doesn't he know that this is the time to help? Should I get Shield Bro to help? Yushu felt that it wasn't appropriate to let Mengyao work alone. Get him? Forget it. He's hitting on girls, why would he care about us? Mengyao humphed. I don't know what's so good about Tang Yun, our Shu is so much prettier than her and cute too. Oh, Yao isn't bad either, why don't you go seduce Shield Bro and give him a taste of sweetness? He'll come and work for you, right? Yushu suggested. Why don't you go with such a stupid suggestion? You have big boobs, you're perfect for seducing him. Mengyao glared at Yushu. Okay, I'll try it next time. Yushu nodded in agreement. Mengyao was about to continue lecturing Yushu when she heard Yushu call out happily. Yao, we have a helper, the coolie is here. Mengyao paused and raised her head to see Pin Liang walking over quickly. She asked in a low voice, You're not talking about Pin Liang, are you? Hee yeah, free coolie like him, it'd be a waste not to use him. Yushu waved at Pin Liang. Liang Yao Yao is calling you. Pin Liang was overjoyed when Yushu called him pretty. Pin Liang wore a casual suit to match the fireworks tonight, and he thought that Meng Yao thought he looked more handsome because of the suit. He ran over happily. Yao Yao Shu, what can I do for you? Yao Yao, aren't you tired? You go rest on the bench over there, I'll dig. Yushu said as she grabbed the shovel from Meng Yao's hands and gave her a look. Meng Yao found it funny, but she couldn't do anything about it. Yushu was more brainless than anyone else when she was with her, but she was so smart in front of others. She didn't know if it was an act or something. Yushu was most likely trying to send her away so that Pin Liang could dig a hole for her. She knew that she wouldn't be able to help Pin Liang dig a hole if she was there, but now that she was gone, Yushu could use her name to get Pin Liang to do it. Chapter 437. Hiring coolies. Pin Liang wanted to talk to Yushu about the fireworks tonight without Meng Yao, but it wasn't a good idea to do it in front of Meng Yao. If Meng Yao didn't give him face and rejected him outright, Pin Liang would be in a very bad spot. He wouldn't even have a chance to turn things around then. As a result, Pin Liang planned to talk to Yushu first. As long as Yushu was willing to help, he'd be able to trick Meng Yao into coming out. He was sure that Meng Yao would definitely come out to see his fireworks show, and maybe she'd even fall in love with him. Yao Yao, go get some rest. Shu's right, you need some rest. Pin Liang said, following Yushu's lead. Meng Yao was more than happy that Pin Liang wouldn't bother her anymore. Since he'd asked her to leave, Meng Yao naturally wouldn't reject him. Yushu blinked at Pin Liang after Meng Yao left. Liangyi, what do you need from me? Just say it. But how did you know? Pin Liang blinked. This Yushu really knew how to predict things. When have you ever come to me without asking for my help? Yushu grinned as she handed the shovel to Pin Liang. Dig a hole for me first, then tell me what's going on. Okay. Pin Liang quickly took the shovel and started digging, looking at Yushu gratefully. She'd always been a troublemaker when he asked for her help before, but she was being nice today. Meng Yao would have fainted if she'd known about this. Yushu hadn't even promised Pin Liang anything yet, and all she did was treat him nicely. Pin Liang was probably the only idiot in this world who'd fall for something like that. I'm thirsty. Get your lackey to get me some cold drinks. Yushu said as she sat down on a pile of dirt, hugging her legs. Pin Liang called out to Xiaofu, who wasn't far away. Xiaofu, go get some drinks, make it cold. Come back quick. Xiaofu left to get the drinks, and Pin Liang finally spoke up. Shu, I really do have something I need to get rid of you for. Oh, say it. What's the matter? I'll see if it's okay. Yushu nodded carelessly, a little unhappy that Pin Liang had stopped digging. I'll do it myself if you don't want to. You don't need to say anything, let me finish first. I'll dig, how can I let you dig? Pin Liang jumped and started digging again. I'll tell you as I dig. Here's the thing, there's a tree called the Eskimo tree, and it's said to be a symbol of love. Legend has it that if you confess your love to a girl under this tree, she'll fall in love. You're not going to tell me that you brought an Eskimo tree here, are you? Chin Yushu asked. How could there be such an idiot in this world? How could he believe such an unreliable legend? Yeah, I sent one over by air. I've already asked Xiaofu to write some confession notes and hang them on the tree, Pin Liang said. Is that so? Yushu replied indifferently as she played with her phone. Of course, that's not the main show. I've prepared a show called Fireworks That Never Sleeps. I'm going to release fireworks on the tree and turn them into Yao Yao's name in the sky to confess my love to her. Pin Liang didn't know if Yushu was listening to him. He gritted his teeth in anger, but he didn't dare get angry. Oh, there's fireworks? That's fun, I'll definitely go see it. Don't worry, I'll bring Yao Yao with me. Yushu naturally wanted to see the magical fireworks. That's great. Pin Liang was overjoyed and his digging speed increased. It wasn't long before he had a big hole. Do you think this hole will work? Sure, you can dig another one next to it. Yushu nodded, satisfied. Pin Liang's face turned bitter. One was already tiring enough and he still had to dig another one? This one's mine. You can dig another one for Yao Yao, but it's fine if you don't want to. I'll call Yao Yao over and tell her that you don't want to help her. Yushu stood up and went to call Meng Yao. Don't. Pin Liang almost cried. He had worked so hard for so long just to dig for Meng Yao. If Yushu yelled at him like that, all his effort would go to waste. Who knew Yushu might do something bad to him and ruin the night? With that thought, Pin Liang gritted his teeth. I'll keep digging. How can I let you and Yao Yao do it? Leave these things to us men. Then you can continue. Yao Yao said that she likes stronger guys, Yushu said as she sat down. I'm strong. Look at me, I'm not tired at all. I'm only using 30% of my strength. I can still speed up. Pin Liang said quickly. It wasn't long before Xiaofu came running over with a few bottles of drinks. Yang bro, I bought them. Is this enough? It's enough. Pin Liang waved his hand, signaling Xiaofu to leave. He handed 2 bottles to Yushu. Give one to Yao Yao as well? Yeah, I'll go then. Take your time, call me when you're done. Yushu said as she took the drinks and ran over to Meng Yao. Pin Liang was sweating profusely as he dug with the shovel. He was trying to show off how strong he was. He was tired, but he was gritting his teeth with a smile on his face. Yao Yao, here's a bottle. Yushu handed one to Meng Yao. I'm not drinking. You drink it yourself. Meng Yao shook her head. She was usually careful not to leave any openings for Pin Liang, especially when it came to things like this. Then I'll drink it myself. Yushu didn't care, she was already used to blackmailing Pin Liang. You tricked him into digging? Meng Yao frowned as she watched Pin Liang work hard. No, I just said that Yao Yao likes strong guys and he wanted to show off. Yushu said with a smile. Since when do I like strong guys? Meng Yao blinked. She didn't expect Yushu to come up with an excuse like this to trick Pin Liang. Isn't Shield Bro very strong? You don't like him? Yushu asked. Chapter 438. And 4 drip. Pin Liang was drenched in sweat after digging 2 holes, but he could almost see Meng Yao looking at him with a face full of admiration. Liang bro, you really are my Prince Charming. Pin Liang wiped the sweat off his forehead, feeling energized from head to toe. He wasn't tired anymore. He was daydreaming when Yushu walked over with a grin on her face. Liang, Yao Yao's asking if you're tired. I'm not tired, it's only been a while. I'm not tired at all. It wouldn't be a problem for me to dig 8 to 10 of these holes in one go. Pin Liang said. Oh, that's great. Yao Yao said that she likes strong and helpful guys the most, so go help others dig their holes. Yushu said. Pin Liang almost fell headfirst into the hole at Yushu's words. He still had to help others dig. But he'd already said what he'd said. Wouldn't he be slapping his own face if he went back on his words now? Pin Liang had no choice but to nod dejectedly. I'll go help others. Hee, we finally got rid of that idiot. Yao Yao, you can come over now, let's start planting trees. Yushu waved at Meng Yao. I really wonder why you're so dumb sometimes but so smart at other times. Tell me, are you faking it? Meng Yao was quite speechless at her best friend. Oh no, I'm a kid when I'm with Yao Yao. Yushu pulled on Meng Yao's arm. I'm not dumb. Alright, you're not dumb. I believe you. Meng Yao shook her head, deciding not to dwell on the problem. She picked up the sapling and started planting it. After a while, Meng Yao and Yushu finished planting the saplings and were about to head back to the classroom to rest when a couple of workers came running over with a strangely shaped sapling in their hands. Pin Liang was at the front, directing them. Pin Liang was so tired that his limbs were numb, but he had to act like he was fine in front of Meng Yao. Be careful guys, this is an imported sapling, don't damage it. He waved his arms and legs around. Be careful, this is an imported sapling, don't break it. Yao Yao, look, someone's really doing that stupid thing you said. Yushu pointed at Pin Liang's Eskimo tree excitedly. Look, that tree's getting in 4 drip too. Meng Yao was speechless. Was Pin Liang really that dumb? He'd gotten a tree within 4 drip? The tree would probably die if he didn't do that. Let's go back to class, don't worry about him. All right. Yushu wanted to watch the show a little longer, but Pin Liang still needed some time to prepare that firecracker silver flower. It wouldn't be too late to come out and watch when he was done. But Meng Yao and Yushu were just about to leave when Pin Liang couldn't take it anymore, falling headfirst onto the ground. He really couldn't take it anymore. His legs were weak from all the digging and he hadn't eaten anything since it was almost noon. His stomach was rumbling with hunger, and there was no way he'd be able to take it anymore. Yao Yao, Pin Liang seems to have fainted, Yushu said, wanting to watch the show. Who cares, someone will take care of it. Meng Yao didn't want to care about Pin Liang's life. Just one look, I'll come back right away, alright? Yushu wasn't the type to pass up a show like this. Alright, I'll take a look from afar. Meng Yao nodded, having no other choice. Yushu on the other hand quickly ran over. Xiaofu was frantically trying to help Pin Liang up. Liang bro, what's wrong? I'll take a look. Yushu ran over to Pin Liang. Xiaofu didn't know if he should let Yushu take a look or not. But if even Pin Liang didn't dare offend Yushu, how could he? He made space for her to come over. Oh, I know, he must be too weak. Just give him some nutrient fluid and he'll be fine. Yushu's eyes darted around as she pulled out the needle from the Eskimo tree beside Pin Liang and stuck it into Pin Liang's butt. The eyes of the bystanders wide. The nutrient fluid for plants could be used on a person? Xiaofu's face changed, almost having a heart attack. Pin Liang wouldn't die, would he? Ouch. Pin Liang was woken up by the pain. How thick was the needle for the tree? Wouldn't it hurt like hell if it stuck him in the butt? Look, you're awake, aren't you? Yushu said proudly. I'm a miracle doctor. The bystanders almost fainted at Yushu's words. You call yourself a miracle doctor? But Pin Liang did wake up. Yushu, of course, wasn't an idiot. She wouldn't murder someone in front of so many bystanders. There was a lot of meat on his butt and it wouldn't hurt much. Alright, you don't need to thank me. I'm leaving. With that, Yushu turned and ran away. But when Pin Liang turned his head to look at the huge needle sticking out of his butt, he fainted again from the shock. What do we do? He fainted again. Should we pull the needle out and stick it in again? Xiaofu said, troubled as he looked at the unconscious Pin Liang. Shu, how can you just do that? What if you kill him? Meng Yao said, shocked by Yushu's actions. I won't. I pick the fleshy parts to stick it in. Yushu said. Meng Yao didn't know what to say. Wasn't her best friend a little too cruel? Xiaolong called a couple of pet shops, but none of them had purebred German shepherds. There were purebred German shepherds, but Xiaolong compared them with dog poop. There was still quite a difference. So Xiaolong decided to get a purebred German shepherd. He asked around and found out that purebred German shepherds needed to be ordered, but the order period wasn't clear yet. It was a more expensive breed, and the pet shop would usually contact the supplier after there was a buyer. Xiaolong was in a rush and naturally he couldn't wait for them to order. He could only use his connections to find out if there were any German shepherds in Donghai, and he really did find out. The owner of a big hotel in Donghai had a German shepherd, and coincidentally he was a friend of Xiaolong's grandpa. He even went to Xiaolong's birthday celebration. Chapter 439. Chapter 439. Testing. This was a serious matter that concerned the future of House Kong, and so Dr. Kong took it very seriously. He called the owner of the hotel after talking to Xiaolong. He seemed to remember the owner bringing a dog with him on the day of the birthday banquet, but he didn't pay much attention to the dog at the time. He didn't know if it was a German shepherd or not. Mr. Zhang? I'm Kong Lai Kai. Dr. Kong had a good relationship with the owner of the hotel. Other than the big houses, all the other businessmen had a good relationship with House Kong. After all, House Kong was one of the most successful businessmen among them. They weren't as successful as the big houses, but they were much stronger than them. Hello, Dr. Kong. What can I do for you? The owner of the hotel asked curiously. Why would Dr. Kong call him personally? Even if they had contact, it would be through the eldest son of Dr. Kong, Kong Greifeng. It's like this. I heard that you have a German shepherd? Dr. Kong asked. Oh, I do have one. Mr. Zhang paused. He didn't know why Dr. Kong would suddenly bring this up. My wife doesn't have much to do at home and she likes dogs. I think we brought that shepherd to your birthday banquet. Mr. Zhang, my grandson Xiaolong likes German shepherds. We've been to many pet shops but we couldn't find one. I wouldn't be asking for it otherwise. Dr. Kong hesitated. Asking for a dog from Mr. Zhang might raise suspicions, but the situation was urgent. He didn't have time to think about it. Besides, even if Mr. Zhang suspected something, he wouldn't think that he was after dog poop. Oh. So Dr. Kang's grandson likes German shepherds? That's it? I'll get someone to send it to you later. Mr. Zhang paused. He didn't think that Dr. Kong would call to ask for a dog. What kind of big deal was this? With the Kong family's current power and financial resources, what dog couldn't they buy? Mr. Zhang didn't think much about the fact that Mr. Kong was calling him to ask for the dog, so he agreed without much thought. Miracle Dr. Kong, this dog of mine is a little special. My wife has been spoiling it since it was young and it often steals food from our house, pees and defecates everywhere. If you hadn't mentioned this, I would have sold it or given it to someone else. But since I'm giving it to you, I have to tell you this first. I can't lie to you. Dr. Kong thought to himself, isn't it good to poop? He was afraid that it wouldn't poop, so he said, this is just a small problem. It's not a big deal. Thank you so much for helping me, Director Zhang. When the time comes, I'll definitely get Xiaolong to come and thank you personally. It's no big deal. Since Dr. Kong says there's no problem, I'll get someone to send the German Shepherd to you later. Mr. Zhang said. Mr. Zhang was one of the people who fawned over the Kangs, so it didn't take long for the German Shepherd to be delivered to the Kang's mansion. After Xiaolong got the German Shepherd, he fed it a huge meal of dog food and finally received a warm puddle of dog poop. It's the same. Exactly the same. After our lab analysis, we found that the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing's composition is exactly the same as this dog's poop. Our previous analysis was correct. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing's composition is the German Shepherd's poop. Xiaolong excitedly took the analysis report and returned to the villa to report the good news to Dr. Kong. It's really the same? Dr. Kong couldn't hold back his excitement as well. He slammed his palm on the coffee table in front of him, almost knocking over the tea on it. One could imagine how excited he was right now. It's really the same. We've got the composition of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Xiaolong said. Next we can start the clinical trial. Good. Good. There's hope for House Kong. Dr. Kong threw his head back in laughter. Xiaolong, you and Xiaoming are working hard this time. While you're buying purebred German Shepherds in bulk, get someone to try this dog poop and see if it's effective. Grandpa, I don't recommend getting outsiders to test it. Xiaolong shook his head. Our research on the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing is still in a secretive stage, and we shouldn't let outsiders know about this. Even if we don't tell them it's dog poop, they'll probably be able to guess it, so we suggest that it's better for our own family to test it. You're right, go get your dad, your second uncle and Xiaoming over. We'll discuss this together. Dr. Kong stood up and closed the curtains. Xiaolong was right, this was the family's top priority, and they couldn't let outsiders get involved. If the recipe were to be leaked, the losses wouldn't be small. In Dr. Kang's study, Kong Guifeng, Kong Teipu, Kong Xiaolong and Kong Mingming sat on the sofa. Dr. Kong, on the other hand, was sitting on his chair with his eyes closed, deep in thought. No one dared to disturb him, and they all sat on the side carefully, waiting for Dr. Kong to speak. After a while, Dr. Kong opened his eyes. This dog poop has been classified as House Kang's #1 secret. Only the few of us know about it. Don't tell anyone else, including your current and future wives. Understood. Kong Guifeng knew the importance of this. Once the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was successfully developed, House Kong would be in a completely different position. As a result, this recipe couldn't be leaked. Tuipu and Xiaolong nodded as well. Even Kong Mingming understood the importance of this. He quickly promised, Grandpa, don't worry, we won't tell anyone. All right. Next up, we'll be researching the clinical trial. Xiaoming had enough trouble with it before, so this time he won't be participating. Dr. Kong said. This time Guifeng, Tuipu, Xiaolong and I will be the ones to test it. Grandpa, I'm fine. Kong Mingming had been full of energy ever since he'd taken half of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Naturally, he wanted to participate as well. Since you've requested it, then let's participate as well. Dog poop doesn't go bad even if it doesn't taste good. Dr. Kong nodded, not insisting. I'll take the remaining half of the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. You guys split the dog poop. Miracle Dr. Kong said as he pointed at the 2 boxes on the coffee table. Dr. Kong wasn't an idiot, although it looked like the dog poop was the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, he couldn't guarantee that it was the case. As a result, he decided to take the remaining half of the pill. Kong Mingming actually wanted to take the other half of the pill, but seeing that his grandpa had taken the initiative, he didn't want to argue. He could only nod in agreement. Chapter 440. Chapter 440 Xiao Xiao's weird behavior. The students returned to their classrooms after planting the trees. They didn't need much supervision from the teachers after all. If they wanted to learn, they'd learn, and if they didn't like Zhou Ruoming, there was no point in forcing them. Meng Yao and Yushu went back to the classroom and looked at their MP4 for a while before taking out their revision materials. The bridge of college entrance exams wouldn't get wider just because they were pretty, and the two didn't want to rely on their families. They wanted to get good grades on their own. Tang Yun and Lin Yi finished planting the tree, and Tang Yun went back to her classroom to study. She'd been busy with her father's surgery and her relationship with Lin Yi recently, so she didn't put much effort into her studies. If she didn't work hard, her grades would drop. As much as Tang Yun wanted to spend more time with Lin Yi, what if she couldn't get into college? After lunch, Tang Yun and Lin Yi went to the food street behind the school to see Mrs. Tang before going back to their respective classrooms. Xiao Xiao sat in her seat eating her lunch. She was alone and there was no one around. Lin Yi walked over and Xiao Xiao only raised her head to look at him before going back to eating. This restaurant's lunch isn't clean. I ate it before and there was a fly in it. Lin Yi said with a smile as he looked at the logo on Xiao Xiao's lunch. Pfft. Xiao Xiao spat out the rib she just put in her mouth before glaring at Lin Yi. Did you do that on purpose? Ha, I was just reminding you. Lin Yi shrugged. Sitting at the same table with Xiao Xiao made Lin Yi feel uneasy. He had to think of a way to get rid of her. Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi hatefully. Fine, you asked for it. She'd thought that blowing up his butt was a bit too much, but since you're so evil, she'd make sure to make a fool out of you tonight. Pin Liang sent a text to Xiao Xiao, informing her that he could move on to the next step of his plan when it was time for the night self-study session. Xiao Xiao wasn't worried that Lin Yi wouldn't come out to watch the show. Since Yushu and Meng Yao were going out, there was no way that Lin Yi, a bodyguard and follower, wouldn't stay out. As expected, Yushu received Pin Liang's message as well. Yao Yao, let's go get some fresh air. It's so boring in the classroom. Now, Meng Yao frowned. She just started on a set of math simulations, and Yushu was already leaving before she could even finish the first question? Yeah, I heard someone was setting off fireworks in the field. Let's go check it out. Yushu said. Fireworks. Can't be that Zhong Pingliang guy, right? Meng Yao wasn't stupid. She guessed what was going on immediately. Haha, yeah, Yao Yao, are you coming? Yushu didn't hide the fact that Meng Yao had guessed it. Oh. Meng Yao shook her head. I can't go myself if you don't want to, can I? It's already dark outside and it's scary. What if I get scared? Yushu said as she grabbed Meng Yao, wanting to drag her out by force. You can get scared? Meng Yao didn't believe it. You killed all the ghosts in the theme park. But Yushu insisted and Meng Yao had no choice but to stand up and go with her. Pin Liang's going to set off fireworks to confess to Meng Yao. Aren't you going to go check it out? Xiao Xiao explained, seeing that Lin Yi wasn't planning on getting up. Fireworks. Lin Yi thought that the two girls were going to the washroom, so he didn't pay much attention. But now that Xiao Xiao said this, he really had to go check it out. As for Xiao Xiao knowing about this beforehand, Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all. She hung out with Pin Liang all the time, so of course she knew about his plans. But Lin Yi was a little puzzled. Why would Xiao Xiao be so kind as to warn him? Did she have some other purpose? Lin Yi stepped out of the classroom and Xiao Xiao followed right behind him. Lin Yi felt someone following him, and when he turned the corner he saw Xiao Xiao's silhouette through the glass of the staircase. She really did follow him. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Xiao Xiao probably wouldn't let what happened yesterday go that easily. She'd been silent all this time, waiting for the right moment to explode. The forest behind the school was already filled with students who'd gotten the news. There were students from first grade to third grade, and even some middle school students who'd been out of school were attracted here. It seemed like the news of Pin Liang's fireworks had gotten out a long time ago, and it had already attracted this much attention. Pin Liang and Xiaofu stood beside a tree filled with fireworks and notes. Pin Liang hated Yushu as much as he wanted to, since his butt was still swollen from Yushu's poke. Yushu had almost destroyed his butt and it was still swollen up. How could a needle for a tree be poked into a person's body? Pin Liang, on the other hand, had no choice but to maintain a smile on his face. He needed Yushu's help to invite Meng Yao to the Nightless Club's courtship party. Liang bro, Meng Yao and Yushu are here and Lin Yi isn't far behind them. Xiaofu whispered to Pin Liang. I saw them. Go get Meng Yao and Yushu and tell Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao to come in as well. I've already told Xiao Xiao what to do later. Just wait for Lin Yi to get into trouble. Pin Liang said quietly. Okay Liang bro. Xiaofu nodded and made a path for the students. Move aside everyone. Let today's female lead in. Xiaofu's words were very useful to normal students in school. Mengyao Yushu Liang bros ready. We're just waiting for you. Xiaofu made a gesture. We'll just watch from here but we're going. Mengyao didn't want to get close. She wasn't interested in this nightless fireworks party at all. Yao Yao, let's go, we can't see it from here. Yushu pulled Mengyao over, not letting her say anything. I still want to keep giving Pinliang the 4. Mengyao had no choice but to let Yushu pull her over. She knew her best friend's personality too. She just liked watching the fun, not helping Pinliang. Lin Yi followed from afar and Xiao Xiao followed as well. But this time Xiao Xiao passed Lin Yi and went to help Pinliang. Chapter 441. Chapter 441. Unlucky Xiao Xiao, tonight's female lead, school beauty Miss Mengyao has arrived. Let's invite our male lead to light up the fireworks of his love for her. Gao Xiaofu had gotten his hands on a megaphone that street vendors used to sell vegetables. He held it up like an MC and shouted. Mengyao frowned. This was what annoyed her the most. Pinliang would always come up with all sorts of weird ideas like writing blood letters and whatnot. Mengyao was speechless. How could this guy be even more stupid than Shu? Plus he was the real one and Shu was the fake one. Xiao Xiao acted like she didn't care when she walked past Lin Yi, picking up a string of firecrackers on the ground and sticking it into Lin Yi's pants. She didn't stop and went off to do something else. Ha! Lin Yi smiled faintly. So this was what this girl was planning. He wanted to blow him up with firecrackers? Was she thinking too much? But Lin Yi didn't expose her immediately. He pretended like he didn't see anything, his eyes still on Mengyao and Yushu. Xiao Xiao's heart was pounding as well. Lin Yi wasn't a normal person after all. What if he found out? There were a lot of people in the field and it was noisy, but Lin Yi's awareness wasn't low either. But Xiao Xiao didn't see any reaction from Lin Yi after hanging the firecracker on his butt. She breathed out in relief, thinking that Lin Yi was probably focused on Mengyao and Yushu, ignoring everything else around him. Pinliang was about to light up the fireworks on the tree when Xiao Xiao sneakily hid behind Lin Yi with a lighter. She'd light up the firecracker on Lin Yi's body as Pinliang lit up the fireworks. That way it'd make it look like Pinliang's fireworks were too intense and half of the firecracker was blown over. If Lin Yi wanted to blame someone, he'd only have himself to blame for being in the wrong place. Whoosh! Pinliang lit up the fireworks, one that he'd ordered from the factory as well. It would form the words Yao Yao, I love you in the air. It looked simple but he'd spent a lot of money on it. At the same time Xiao Xiao lit up the firecracker on Lin Yi's butt, gleefully turning around to hide. Ha! Lin Yi smiled faintly as he quickly removed the firecracker from his body and hung it on Xiao Xiao's butt, tying a dead knot. But the tragic thing was that Xiao Xiao was so focused on running that she didn't even realize that Lin Yi had hung the firecracker on her butt. After a few steps she realized that she was dragging something behind her, hitting her leg. She turned around, confused, and screamed. Ah! Xiao Xiao was going crazy. Wasn't the firecracker on Lin Yi? Why was it on her? She raised her head to look at Lin Yi, only to see Lin Yi nodding at her with an evil smile on his face. Xiao Xiao wanted to remove the firecracker on her back, but she realized that Lin Yi had tied a dead knot that she couldn't untie at all. The fuse was about to burn out and Xiao Xiao was starting to panic. She couldn't just take off her pants in front of the whole school, could she? That'd be so embarrassing. Just as Xiao Xiao was hesitating, the fuse burned out and the firecracker started exploding. Xiao Xiao was scared out of her wits as she ran over to Pinliang, yelling, Help! Water, do you have water? Pinliang was feeling proud of his work, preparing to shock everyone with the words, Yao Yao, I love you in the sky when he heard Xiao Xiao's cry for help. Wah! Pinliang's eyes went wide as he stared at the firecracker exploding behind Xiao Xiao's butt. Wasn't she the one hanging on Lin Yi? How did it end up on her body? Xiao Xiao had even given him a signal to tell him to follow the plan after she'd hung up the firecracker. Why did the firecracker switch positions all of a sudden? Lil sis Xiao Xiao. Pinliang looked at Xiao Xiao confused. Don't talk so much, get me some water to put out the firecrackers. Xiao Xiao was panicking. She didn't have the time to explain to Pinliang. The firecrackers were already up to her pants and they were about to reach her butt. Water. Water. Pin Liang looked around but there was no water around here. He did get a few buckets of water when he planted the trees, but they were all poured into the soil. The firecrackers were already on Xiao Xiao's, but as Pin Liang was hesitating, burning a couple of holes in her butt. Xiao Xiao was on the verge of crying and she couldn't care less about her image anymore as she rolled around on the ground, finally extinguishing the firecrackers. However, the fabric of her pants was already burnt beyond recognition and it hurt. Xiao Xiao was sure that even her underwear was showing, and so she didn't even dare stand up. Her eyes were filled with grievance and she wanted to cry. But she gritted her teeth and didn't cry. I'm Xiao Xiao, I can't cry. I don't need other people's pity. Crying is just a sign of weakness. Xiao Xiao took a deep breath and sat on the ground. Take off your shirt and give it to me. Ah? My shirt? Pin Liang blinked. Hurry up. Don't waste time. Xiao Xiao frowned. Right. All right. Pin Liang couldn't afford to piss off Xiao Xiao, be it her background or herself. Pin Liang couldn't afford to offend her at all. Since Xiao Xiao had spoken, Pin Liang had no choice but to take off his shirt and give it to her. Xiao Xiao took Pin Liang's jacket and quickly wrapped it around her waist before walking out of the crowd, heading for the school gates. Xiao Xiao didn't feel good at all. She'd wanted Lin Yi to embarrass himself, but now she was the one being humiliated. She didn't notice if the crowd was laughing at her, but she was sure that she was the laughing stock now. Getting her butt blown up by firecrackers and she was a girl. This was as embarrassing as it could get. I'm going to eat you up. Xiao Xiao was going crazy as she sat in her car, gritting her teeth and using the steering wheel as if it was Lin Yi, smashing it violently before she finally calmed down. Chapter 442. Chapter 442 Remedy. Pin Liang naturally didn't wear a lot of clothes in the summer. He only had a casual shirt on and after giving it to Xiao Xiao he was shirtless. It didn't seem to fit the image of him confessing to Meng Yao, and it made the surrounding students snicker. Pin Liang's face darkened as he raged. What are you laughing at? Have you never seen a man as strong as me? It was fine if Pin Liang didn't say anything, but the moment he did the students started laughing. The law didn't punish the masses. These students were usually afraid of Pin Liang, but in the dark night, they couldn't tell who was laughing and who wasn't. Pin Liang couldn't do anything to them. Yao Yao, please let me use fireworks to express my love to you. Pin Liang raised his head, wanting to point at the fireworks in the sky to confess to Meng Yao, only to realize that the fireworks were almost done. Xiao Xiao had asked for his clothes at the same time, but everyone's attention was on Xiao Xiao, and no one noticed the words Yao Yao, I love you in the sky. Pin Liang's effort was wasted. The fireworks were gone. They were all gone. Pin Liang didn't know what to say after that. What could he say without the help of fireworks? Go see if there are any more fireworks. Pin Liang ordered Xiaofu, his face livid. Gao Xiaofu hurriedly ran to the Eskimo tree to check on the few fireworks, but it seemed that they had all been set off. There was nothing left to set off. Gao Xiaofu did not give up. He used a lighter to light up the fireworks. However, the sky was already dark and he could not see clearly. He accidentally used a branch as a fuse, and with a whoosh the Eskimo tree was set on fire. Pin Liang didn't know what was going on at first, thinking that Xiaofu was making fireworks again. But then he realized that something wasn't right. Why wasn't the fireworks shooting into the sky? Why was it burning on the tree? Liang bro, it's bad. I lit the tree on fire. Gao Xiaofu patted the fire a few times but failed to extinguish it. He became anxious and shouted, Brother Liang, come and help. Ha! Xiaofu's actions drew a round of laughter. Pin Liang's confession had turned into a farce. Put out the fire. Get someone to get water. Pin Liang ran over with a dark face looking at his Eskimo tree. He wanted to cry but no tears came out. Oh Yao Yao, I see the fire tree but I don't see the silver flowers. Yushu cried out in surprise. Shu, let's stay away from this kind of idiotic behavior. It's easy to cause a fire. Meng Yao was speechless at Pin Liang's actions, especially Xiao Xiao's. What was Xiao Xiao trying to do just now? Wait Yavis, I have to remind them. With that Yushu called out to Pin Liang. Break the bottle and use the water inside to put out the fire. Oh right. Pin Liang nodded quickly before instructing Xiaofu to carry out the task. Yushu giggled and left with Meng Yao. Shu, you're getting worse and worse. Wait, I'll go get that. It's just fried mushrooms, I'll go. Pin Liang hurriedly said, Shoo, just help me ask if there's anything I can do to remedy this. All right then. Yushu nodded and went back to the classroom. Chapter 443. Chapter 443 Failure. Miao noticed that Yushu was deep in thought during class. She didn't know what she was thinking about, so she asked, Shu, what on earth are you doing? What are you doing here and there? Yao, I'm thinking if I have any wishes that I haven't fulfilled yet. Yushu felt that all of her wishes had been fulfilled, and there was nothing left for Pin Liang to do. Wishes? Don't you want to eat shark meat? Meng Yao didn't know what Yushu was up to, so she reminded her. Oh. Yes, I want to eat shark meat. Yushu waved her hands excitedly at Meng Yao's reminder. I want Pin Liang to take me to eat shark meat. Pin Liang? Take you to eat shark meat? Meng Yao blinked. Yeah, he asked me just now if there was anything I could do to make you happier. Yushu said. Don't go to him. If you want to eat shark meat, get Lin Yi to catch it for you. Meng Yao didn't want anything to do with Pin Liang. Don't worry, Yao. I'll be the one talking to Pin Liang. I won't drag you into this. Yushu was already used to this sort of thing. Whatever you want. Meng Yao didn't care anymore. Yushu had done this sort of thing way too many times in the past 3 years, and Meng Yao was already numb to it. But Meng Yao was a little doubtful. How could Pin Liang still trust Yushu after falling for it so many times? It was the last class of the morning and Pin Liang decided to skip it altogether. He brought Xiaofu to the night market and bought 2 servings of fried mushrooms before returning to school. He finally managed to get the 2 servings in front of Yushu before the lunch break. Oh, I'll tell you after I'm done. It won't be crispy anymore when it gets cold. Yushu waved her hand, signaling for Pin Liang to leave. Pin Liang nodded and bowed as he returned to his seat. He and Xiaofu had bought some steamed buns, and Pin Liang couldn't eat too much since he had something on his mind. When Yushu was done with the fried mushrooms, Pin Liang stood up abruptly and chased after Yushu. Yushu went to toss the mushroom lunchbox at Pin Liang, giggling to herself when she saw the impatient look on his face. There was actually such a foolish person. He hadn't had enough of being deceived and he was in a hurry to be deceived. I say, Liangzi, can't you let me stop for a bit? You're following me around when I'm taking out the trash. Yushu pretended to be unhappy as she looked at Pin Liang. Hee little Shu, I'm just anxious. I'll throw it for you. Pin Liang took the stuff from Yushu's hands. What did Yao say? She said that what happened yesterday was okay, but she's been under a lot of pressure from school lately, and she wants to go out and have some fun. The summer camp is in May and she wants to go out now. Yushu had already made up an excuse. Oh, going out to play? That's great. Pin Liang was on the verge of cheering. His dream was to go on a date with Meng Yao. What are you thinking? How could Sister Yao go out alone with you? It's not like she's your girlfriend right now. Yushu rolled her eyes at Pin Liang. However, Pin Liang wasn't disappointed at all. Instead, he was excited. Yushu said that she wasn't his girlfriend right now, which meant that she might be in the future. Meng Yao still had feelings for him? Pin Liang was unusually happy at the thought. Shu, where do you think Meng Yao wants to go? How about the beach? Organize a spring outing and let all of our classmates go. Otherwise, Yao sis won't go with you alone. Yushu said. Sure, no problem. It's just a spring outing, right? I'll organize it in a bit. With a goal in mind, Pin Liang nodded and went to help Yushu throw out the trash. Yushu hummed a song as she went back to class after taking care of Pin Liang. What surprised Dr. Kong and his family was that the trial had no effect at all. The entire family, including Dr. Kong who'd taken that original pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, suffered from varying degrees of nausea and diarrhea, but there were no signs of detoxification at all. Other than diarrhea and sweat, there were no signs of detoxification at all. Miracle Dr. Kong forced his weak body to sit in his study. He had no choice but to call for an emergency family meeting to discuss this matter. Zhaong, what's the problem? Why aren't we detoxifying? Dr. Kong was confused. Even if there was something wrong with the composition of the dog poop, he'd taken the original pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. Kong Ming had taken half of it and there were obvious effects. He'd taken the other half, so why was he no different from someone who'd eaten dog poop? I don't know, Grandpa. Logically speaking, the ingredients are dog poop, And what you ate was the original pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. How could it not have any effect? Xiaolong said, feeling weak and dizzy. Could it be that it varies from person to person? Dr. Kong asked, confused. I don't think so, Grandpa. I didn't have any effects this time either. Kong Ming stood up, clutching his stomach. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to shit my pants. I need to go to the bathroom. With that, Kong Ming ran out of the study with a bunch of smelly farts. But no one complained about his smelly farts because everyone in the room was smelly today. Xiaoming's right, he didn't have any effects either. Did something go wrong with our experiment? Dr. Kong nodded. That. Grandpa, I've thought of everything, but there's no way to explain it. Xiaolong shook his head. Could it be that what Xiaoming ate was different from what you ate? Different? Wasn't it the same pill that was split into 2 parts? Dr. Kong frowned. I'm just guessing and I don't have any proof right now. But now that I think about it, our research direction was wrong. Xiaolong said. We were all blinded by excitement, thinking that the most impossible thing was the most possible. That dog poop was the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But now that we think about it, is it really that simple? So you're saying that the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing isn't dog poop? Dr. Kong calmed down and thought about it. Xiaolong's words weren't unreasonable. Something as miraculous as the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was just dog poop. Wasn't it too simple? Yes, it's just a guess, but I have 2 bold theories. Xiaolong was the most educated member of the Kangs after all. His analysis was clear and logical. Why was his father asking him to do something for the first time? But he was still very happy inside. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing wasn't a success, but with Kong Ming's involvement, the father and son duo were clearly valued by Dr. Kong. Dad, just tell me. I'll do my best. Tuipu promised. You have a lot of friends in society, so pay close attention to Kong Xiaobo's family. Since that friend of Kong Xiaobo's could get his hands on the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, then he must know some master. Find out who they've been in contact with, and if there really is a master, we'll definitely get him to work for us. Dr. Kong said. I'm good at that, leave it to me. Tuipu patted his chest and promised. With that, the matter was settled, and the farce of Dr. Kang's family solving the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing came to an end. But Dr. Kong didn't give up yet. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was a symbol of wealth and status. If the Kangs could really get their hands on it, then they'd be much more powerful than they were now. Xiao Xiao came to school in the afternoon, and what surprised Lin Yi was that she was still very calm. At least there wasn't much anger on her face. It was the same as that time when Lin Yi had poured his piss on her. Nothing could be seen on her face. Lin Yi guessed that she was planning her next revenge. Lin Yi felt wronged. Why did this girl have to make life difficult for him? If he couldn't mess with her, why couldn't he just avoid her? Since you're here, then I'll leave. Lin Yi decided to skip class in the afternoon. He'd received a call from Xuemin earlier, saying that Fatty Lai had already completed the transfer of the building's ownership. As long as Lin Yi nodded, it would be transferred to Guan Xian's name. The medicine that Xuemin had applied for approval had also been approved. In the medical world, with Xuemin's connections, this wasn't a difficult matter. It was just a formality, and the medicine company was right in front of him. The only thing missing was a professional manager. Lin Yi used this chance to go to Xuemin's place to discuss the medicine company. As for Xiao Xiao, he'd leave her alone in school. Seeing Lin Yi leave, Xiao Xiao's lips curled into a subtle smile. She couldn't wait for Lin Yi to leave. She wanted to have a good talk with Kong Xiaobo about Lin Yi's weakness. From the looks of it, messing around like this wasn't a solution at all. Lin Yi's skills were far beyond his imagination, and his reflexes were also unimaginable. Even after the firecracker had been lit, he was still able to take it off his body and tie it to himself, even tying it into a knot. His reaction speed shocked Xiao Xiao. Sitting on the thick cushion, Xiao Xiao poked Kong Xiaobo's back. Do you have time? Can you tell me about your boss? Kong Xiaobo had witnessed the firecracker explosion yesterday, and he was wondering what was going on. It happens all the time. Miss Braindead, no one will think you're a mute if you don't talk. Lin Yi wasn't happy with Ling Shan's interruption. He glared at her. Stop begging me next time. Just think of the things I promised you before as nothing but empty promises. Young bro, look, he's bullying me, Ling Shan said pitifully as she looked at Huaijuan. Chapter 446. Chapter 446. The other side of Ling Shan. Lin Yi almost fell on his butt. He was shocked by Ling Shan's sudden change in gender. Ha, a song, you should find a man who can control you or you'll be too wild, Huaijuan said with a smile. Young bro. What are you talking about? What man? Ling Shan's eyes were wide open, her face red as she glared at Huaijuan. Girls have to get married. Huaijuan, however, didn't mind at all. Plus, I need to ask Lin Yi for help too. Ask him to? Ling Shan had always been suspicious of Lin Yi's identity. Even if he was a very strong bodyguard, there was no reason for Huaijuan to praise Lin Yi like this. After all, Huaijuan didn't admire people that easily, and yet he was lowering himself in front of Lin Yi. It was something that Ling Shan couldn't understand. Huaijuan had retired from that mysterious organization, and while he was injured and not as strong as he used to be, he'd still had his glory days and he was brave and smart. There was no way he'd praise someone so easily. But as for Lin Yi, Ling Shan really couldn't figure out what sort of connection the two had. The most suspicious thing was that Huaijuan had almost lost his composure the first time he met Lin Yi. Huaijuan nodded seriously. I'm begging him to treat me now. Huaijuan wanted to play matchmaker for Lin Yi and Ling Shan. The Song family wasn't weak, but they didn't interfere with Ling Shan's marriage too much, especially since the Song family came from an ancient martial arts house. They worshipped strength, and so Elder Song was very supportive of Ling Shan's decision to find a man who could beat her. Lin Yi, on the other hand, fit the bill perfectly. This alone was enough for Lin Yi to give it a try. But what troubled Huaijuan was Ning. He knew that Lin Yi wouldn't be accepted by her family, but he couldn't help but help her again and again. What kind of mentality was this? He had buried the feelings he had for Xiao Ning in the depths of his heart and turned it into the protection of her happiness. Ling Shan didn't know what to say. She'd thought that Huaijuan would be able to give her some courage today, but it seemed that she'd miscalculated. Huaijuan couldn't order Lin Yi around. Oh, you doubted me before, so we're off the deal, Lin Yi said as he sat down on the sofa beside Ling Shan. Ling Shan almost vomited blood from regret after hearing Lin Yi's word. She wouldn't have said that if she'd known this would happen. She'd thought that Huaijuan would back her up, only to realize that she'd made a huge mistake. Ling Shan gritted her teeth as she looked at that "I don't need your help, so don't bother me" look on Lin Yi's face, but there was nothing she could do. She wanted to ease up her relationship with Lin Yi, so she kicked Lin Yi. Hey, why are you so stingy? It's not a matter of being stingy, it's a matter of principle. I won't help you. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was quite relaxed. He didn't want to get involved in Ling Shan's business anymore. He wouldn't have bothered if it weren't for Huaijuan. Now that the opportunity presented itself, Lin Yi pushed it away cleanly. Ling Shan glared at him, but there was nothing she could do. After some hesitation, she pulled on the corner of Lin Yi's shirt and whispered into his ear. Miss Braindead was wrong, all right? Just forgive her this once. Ling Shan's body was trembling as she spoke. Since when had she ever lowered herself to someone like this? But in front of Lin Yi, she had no choice but to lower herself. Why was she so unlucky? He had her in his palm and she didn't even have a chance to turn things around. All right, I'll forgive you this once then. Lin Yi was moved by Ling Shan. He didn't think that this girl would be able to move Lin Yi's heart when she acted like a spoiled child. All beautiful girls were cute. The key was whether or not they knew how to show their cute side. Lin Yi came to a conclusion. Seemed that he was being kind after all. This wasn't a good sign. What if a female assassin acted like a spoiled child in the future? Would he let her go? Ling Shan's voice was soft and Guan Xuemin couldn't hear it, but Huaijuan, who was sitting beside her, heard it loud and clear. Huaijuan was strong, and while he was injured and dropped a level, he was still a golden class early phase at his peak. His hearing was naturally better than a normal person's, and he almost fainted when he heard what Ling Shan said to Lin Yi. Was this still the Ling Shan he knew? Ling Shan would show her little girl side in front of him, But that was only because she saw him as a big brother, an elder. There was no other meaning behind it. But as for Lin Yi wasn't even as old as her, was he? Could it be that Song had fallen for him this time? Huaijuan was suspicious, but he could only pretend that he didn't hear it. This was a matter of a girl's face. She might be able to say that in front of Lin Yi, but if other people heard it, she'd probably kill herself. Ling Shan glared at Lin Yi hatefully, but she'd gotten an answer she was satisfied with. She turned her head away and ignored him. Xuemin didn't know what was going on, but his instincts told him that Lin Yi and Ling Shan's relationship wasn't normal. He sighed inwardly. He'd seen his granddaughter's feelings for him, and if it were any other boy he'd have the confidence to make it happen, but this was Lin Yi and he didn't have any confidence at all. First of all, Lin Yi's medical skills were better than his, and second, Lin Yi should be different in other areas other than his medical skills. He was very outstanding. This was something he could tell from the conversation between Ling Shan and Lin Yi. Wait a bit. Yang and Song have something to talk to me about and they've just arrived. We'll talk about other things after they're done. Xuemin said to Lin Yi. He'd become closer to Lin Yi and he'd already considered Lin Yi as half a family member. He didn't need to be too polite. Yeah, it's fine. I'll sit here for a bit. Lin Yi said before looking at Huaijuan. Should I leave for a bit? With that, Lin Yi was about to stand up. Ling Shan wanted to drag Lin Yi back with her claws. She'd wanted Lin Yi's help with this, so why did he have to leave? It's fine. You can listen in as well, you'll be able to help if you find any clues. Huaijuan said with a wave of his hand. Chapter 447. Chapter 447. Rolling Ines expected. Lin Yi nodded and sat back down on the sofa. Then let's hear it. Huaijuan didn't waste any time, getting straight to the point. Grandpa Guan, I've brought Song here because I want to use your connections to get some information. Yang, don't be so courteous, just say it. Xuemin waved his hand, knowing that Huaijuan had to have something important to discuss with him. Just come over if you need anything next time, Song. Thank you, Professor Guan. Ling Shan said quickly. It's like this, Grandpa Guan, there's been an illegal organ trafficking organization recently, taking beggars, homeless people and even disabled people in the city and cutting out their kidneys or corneas. It's gotten to a point where they don't care about anything. Huaijuan said. So I'd like you to help me find out where all the big hospitals get their corneas transplanted, hoping to find some clues. That's easy, but I can only ask around. Those who've already undergone surgery, even if the organ comes from an illegal source, I can't ask them to cut it out again. Xuemin said. Naturally, that's a little inhumane, but those involved in the illegal trade still have to be punished. Huaijuan said. Please help me, Grandpa Guan. I'll give Xiang a call. He's a shareholder of many hospitals and he's more informed than I am. Xuemin nodded. The Xiang that Xuemin was talking about was Xuemin's youngest son, Guan Xiaoxiang, who was also Guan Xian's father. He held shares in many hospitals and together with Guan Xian's mother he owned a private hospital in Songjiang. He was one of the most famous doctors in the province. Haha, with Uncle Xiang and Aunt Lan's help, we should be able to get some information. Huaijuan nodded. The Aunt Lan he was talking about was Guan Xiaoxiang's wife, Guan Xian's mother. Huaijuan had brought Ling Shan here mainly to ask for Xuemin's help, and now that they were done, Xuemin had agreed without hesitation. There was no need for them to stay any longer. Xuemin obviously had other things to discuss with Lin Yi too, and so Huaijuan got up to leave. We'll be going then, Grandpa Guan. We're a little busy here at the bureau, I'll come see you another day. Go ahead. Come back for dinner another day. Guan Xuemin nodded. Wait. Lin Yi stopped Huaijuan. I've prepared the medicine for your second course of treatment, but I didn't bring it today. Come to my school tomorrow? Alright, but I've been transferred to a nearby city to help investigate a big case. I'll be pretty busy, so send Song over if I don't have the time. Huaijuan nodded. I won't say too many thank yous, it's all said. You're busy. Aren't you afraid of dying of exhaustion? Lin Yi shrugged. I didn't see you so busy before I treated you. Haha, the more capable you are, the more things you can do. I'm pretty much fine now, aren't I? Huaijuan said, a little embarrassed. Plus, I'm creating opportunities for you and Song, aren't I? Wah. Lin Yi's eyes went wide and so did Ling Shan. Lin Yi was a little speechless. Why was Huaijuan always trying to get him and Ling Shan together? Ling Shan, on the other hand, was surprised that Yang Bro would act so frivolously in front of Lin Yi. He must have been led astray by the kid, that had to be it. She'd make sure to teach Lin Yi a lesson the day she could turn things around. But it didn't seem like she could turn things around just yet. She still had to work hard. After sending Huaijuan and Ling Shan off, Lin Yi returned to Guan Xiumin's study. Guan Xiumin was on the phone when Lin Yi came in. I called Mr. Lai, he'll be here soon. Mr. Lai? Fatty Lai, right? Lin Yi froze for a moment before reacting. That's him. Guan Xiumin naturally couldn't call Lai Changyi Fatty Lai. The two hadn't spoken much when voices came from outside the study, and a ball-like person rolled into the study. Fatty Lai had been here before, so Aunt Lu recognized him. He was let in as soon as he arrived. But Fatty Lai heard from Guan Xiumin that Lin Yi was here as well, so he panicked a little. He really wanted to see Lin Yi. He hadn't seen him since the birthday banquet, so he tripped at the door and rolled into the study. Lin Yi jumped at Fatty Lai. What kind of martial arts are you practicing? Even if you wanted to come in quickly, you didn't have to come in like this, did you? Heh. It's a mistake, I tripped and fell. Fatty Lai was a little embarrassed. Miracle Dr. Lin, I finally get to see you. I miss you so much. Sob, I thought you didn't want me anymore, that I'd never see you again. You don't know how excited I was when Professor Guan called me. I wasn't even as excited as I was when I got married. Right. Just stay away from me, I'm a little scared. I don't doubt your sexual orientation, but I'm still wary of you, Lin Yi said after getting a meter away from Fatty Lai. It's okay, I'm happy to see you, Miracle Dr. Lin. Fatty Lai didn't mind that Lin Yi looked down on him at all. He took out a document from his backpack. Miracle Dr. Lin, please have a look. The building's ownership has been transferred to Miss Guan Xian's name. As soon as Miss Guan Xian signs it, the contract will come into effect. Isn't your new company in the building? What are you going to do if it's all transferred? Lin Yi asked curiously. I'm a tenant now and I'll pay the rent on time. Fatty Lai said. Miracle Dr. Lin, you're not kicking me out, are you? Lin Yi thought that Fatty Lai was a little troublesome, but he didn't have a reason to kick him out. He'd given his building to you and it wasn't right to kick him out. I won't just stay here. Don't worry about the rent. Lin Yi waved his hand. Haha, I'll stay here then. Fatty Lai had made up his mind. He was going to stick to Lin Yi. He could see that being close to Lin Yi would bring him a lot of benefits in the future. Lin Yi wasn't familiar with him before and he didn't really like him, but it didn't matter. They'd get to know each other after a while. Wasn't everything good now? At least Lin Yi was willing to see him and that was a good start. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.